Hi, this is Pat Quinn. Welcome to Lesson 3 of the free online video course, Using iPads to Motivate Students and Manage Behavior in Your Classroom. This free online video course contains 6 lessons. Each lesson is designed to help you motivate students using iPads in your classroom and manage the behavior of students while they are using the iPads. Each lesson contains great strategies and also great apps for you to use with your students, and all of those apps are free. Each of the 6 online lessons contains 3 parts. First, online video teaching, which you're watching right now. After you complete the online video teaching, there is a suggested activity, something for you to try, usually in your classroom with your students. After you complete the first 2 parts of the lesson, you should come back and answer the reflection questions that are included for each lesson. These are located right on this website in a PDF. You can print it out and answer them right on that sheet, or keep a journal on your computer to keep track of your learning and monitor your progress during this course. Make sure you do all 3 parts of each lesson. Each lesson is designed to last 1 hour. In this lesson, we're going to talk about finding time to use iPads in your classroom and progress monitoring apps. Everybody's talking about progress monitoring, and there are some great apps that will help you do it. First, let's talk about finding time to use iPads in our classroom. Many of us teach in schools where we're implementing response to intervention. As a matter of fact, No Child Left Behind requires that we use RTI at our schools. Most RTI systems are broken into tiers. Tier 1 includes full class instruction, and there are ways to use your iPad for full class instruction. Tier 2 includes small group interventions, a small group of students who are missing a specific skill, and iPads provide a great opportunity for those small groups of students to get remediation on that specific skill. iPads are also great for your students who need enrichment, who are ahead of the rest of the class. They can use the iPads while you instruct the rest of the class. Tier 3 is usually a smaller ratio, sometimes one-on-one instruction, and iPads are great for one-on-one instruction because they adapt the learning right to the needs of the students, and they can adjust very easily as the student gives different responses. And so you can use your iPads in all 3 of these situations. It is likely that you are currently in one of 3 situations with iPads in your classroom. You might have 1 iPad for your full classroom. This is very common, and you can still use that 1 iPad for instruction, remediation, and enrichment in your classroom. It's also possible you have a few iPads in your classroom, maybe 3 to 5 iPads that you have every day, or that you can check out if you need them. And some schools are lucky enough to have 1 iPad for each student. Maybe that you have every day in your classroom, or possibly on a cart that you can check out and have on certain days in your classroom. We're going to take a look at how you can use iPads in each of these 3 situations. Let's start with 1 iPad in your classroom. If you only have 1 iPad, either your iPad or an iPad that your school has given you, but it's the only iPad in your classroom, you can still use that in all 3 settings. In Tier 1, full class instruction, you can project your iPad up on the front screen. You can do this using a simple adapter that plugs into your smartboard or your projector, or you can plug it right into a video monitor. You can also use the $99 solution, which is to use Apple TV to broadcast from anywhere that the iPad is in your classroom wirelessly. And so using your iPad as a presentation tool is an outstanding way to use your iPad during full class instruction. It's also possible during full class instruction that you have some students who already know what you're doing or what you're teaching, and so those students could work on your iPad while the other students receive instruction. In Tier 2 small group interventions, you can use 1 iPad with a small group of students to demonstrate things to them, play games with them, and help gather feedback from them. A simple app like Cranberry or Flashcards Deluxe can be used to help students with remediation. And in Tier 3, one-on-one instruction possibly, if possible, you can give the iPad to the student and show them how to use apps to increase their learning. And so even if you just have one iPad in your whole classroom, you can use it in all three parts of response to intervention. Now let's look at what would happen if you had a few iPads in your classroom, maybe 3 to 5 iPads that you have every day, or you can check out occasionally. For full class instruction, you can do group activities, break your class into 3 to 5 groups, and have each group have an iPad for a project that they're working on. In Tier 2 interventions, you might have enough iPads that everyone in your small group intervention can have their own iPad, which almost puts you in a one-on-one situation. And in Tier 3, working in even smaller groups, you will have one iPad for each student, and you can have them work on very specific apps that will adapt to their individual learning speed and style. Finally, let's take a look on what it would look like if you had one iPad for every student. Maybe not every day, but maybe there's a cart at your school where you can check out a set of iPads where you would have one for every student. For Tier 1 full class instruction, you can do a variety of activities, including some great direct response applications like Socrative, which allows you to use your iPads as a direct response tool so you can get instant feedback on what your students know and what questions they still have. For small group interventions, you can give each student an iPad, which will adapt to their learning speed and their learning style. This will help both your students in remediation and enrichment. And in Tier 3, each student will have an iPad, and you can show them specific apps that will help them in the skill that they are lacking. And so whether you have one iPad, a few iPads, or one iPad for each student, you can use your iPads and have time to use your iPads in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 of any classroom setting. Now I want to show you a great progress monitoring app. Boy, since RTI came into existence, everybody's talking about progress monitoring. How do you track the progress of a specific student over time? And there's a purpose for progress monitoring. It's not just to get a student into special education. The real purpose of progress monitoring is to evaluate our instruction so that we know whether we need to adjust or not. Another great purpose of progress monitoring is to choose interventions. So when students don't learn during full class instruction, they can receive an intervention that will help them learn. And of course, progress monitoring is important if we're trying to identify a specific learning disability. There's a great app called ScootPad that I'd love you to check out. It's practiced for reading and math, but the beauty of it is that progress monitoring data is collected as the students practice. It's correlated perfectly to the Common Core curriculum, and so in both reading and math you can use this. Now sometimes middle school and high school teachers look at this and say, that's not really for me because it doesn't go beyond a 5th grade reading level. But if you think about the students who are in Tier 2 or Tier 3 of RTI, oftentimes they have reading levels at 5th grade or below, and oftentimes they're years behind in mathematics. And so please consider ScootPad as an option for your students who are furthest behind. In the kindergarten through 5th grade level, ScootPad can be used with all of your students, and it gathers the progress monitoring data that you need to evaluate instruction, choose interventions, and identify a specific learning disability. ScootPad is perfectly aligned to the Common Core curriculum, so you can use it with confidence in your classroom. You may want to also consider a few other apps. The Common Core Concept Bank will help you adapt your curriculum to the Common Core curriculum. If you have trouble understanding what you've been teaching for years and how it will change as you implement the Common Core curriculum, Concept Bank will help you with that, showing you specific examples and breaking down each Common Core concept into its smaller parts with sample questions for each one. If you use running records to measure the literacy of your students, the running records calculator makes this faster and easier. It also records the student as they're reading, so you can play it back if there's any questions. And finally, take a look at 10marks.com, which is a website, not an app, but it displays beautifully on the iPad. For mathematics, from grade 2nd all the way through high school, 10 Marks not only gives practice, but also gives instruction. Maybe you're using a tool like Study Island, which is just practice, not really an intervention or instruction. 10 Marks is different. 10 Marks provides specific instruction. It's correlated perfectly to the Common Core curriculum. 10marks.com is a great math intervention loaded with instruction and practice. Your suggested activity for this lesson is to try one of the apps that we've discussed with your students and see if it works for you in the classroom. When you finish that, don't forget to come back and answer the reflection questions, which are located right on this website in a PDF. If you're looking for more great information on using iPads in your classroom, and you're like, this is a great taste, but I'd love some more, check out the great live seminar, Help! They Gave Me an iPad, and I Don't Know What to Do with It. This one-day seminar is loaded with strategies, tips, and great apps that you can use in your classroom right away. Learn more at ideasunlimitedseminars.com. It's coming to a city near you. This concludes Lesson 3 of using iPads to motivate students and manage behavior in your classroom.